continue to get paid as little as they were paid is negligent and would continue to harm our schools, which are already so, in such a bad state.
So what is it like campaigning in the first district? It has some cities, some rural areas. You're still working. You're a mom. What does that look like for you? What sorts of events are you doing?
Yeah, it's one of the things that I said to my husband over and over in those early conversations was, I already have this really, I feel like, I'm sure every mom would say this, but you feel like you're already over the top. Like, I can't do one more thing. I'm living a life that's already too big. How can I possibly add something else? And that something else that I'm considering adding is, running for Congress, which is like this, massive undertaking. So, and all-consuming, and lasts for, if you make it through the primary, lasts for a year. It was sort of almost impossible to wrap my head around. So I just put one foot in front of the other and really just take it one day at a time. I work all day. I was the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs for the first several months of the primary. Basically all throughout the primary I was serving as Associate Dean, which is a contract position. And for full-time faculty, you kind of take turns, and I was doing my 3-year rotation in that. So I was working, 9 to 6 every day, and then hopping in the car and heading out into the field. And while I was on my way, I was on the phone. If I could get service, that's another challenge with West Virginia. Broadband is really bad here. But I was on the road, 5 nights a week and all weekend, going out and meeting with people, because my campaign is, as I keep saying, I'm not the money candidate. I wasn't in the primary. I'm not again, but I am the grassroots candidate. And so I go to where people are. I go to meetings. I go to events. I go to fairs. I go to parades. I go door to door. I go everywhere there are people. And I listen to them. And it's amazing how much that resonates with people, because they don't feel like anybody's listening to them. And we have so many problems. It's actually kind of heartbreaking. So now I am out of my Associate Dean role. I'm full-time faculty. So I teach. I'm still working full-time, but in the general, I've got more help, which is nice. My campaign is bigger. I've got people helping me with scheduling and, getting me where I need to be. And that's been good, because I love my job and I wouldn't ever leave it unless I have the opportunity to serve this district. But I felt like we just really need someone who wants to serve this district.
And how are people reacting to having a Democrat who's all in, really, really trying? Are they still responding to the change message? I know there's a lot of trolls and stuff, but
right, yeah. I had my share of trolls, which is fine. I was like, oh, I have trolls. I've arrived. I must be doing something right. You know what? Here's the thing. I really don't. The beauty of my candidacy, I think, and one of the reasons that explains my win in the primary, which was unexpected to a lot of people. I mean, we had our plan. We knew what we were doing. We followed the plan. And the only surprise, honestly, was that we won by a bigger margin than we thought we would. We actually won by 9 points, which was, kind of surprising to me. I was like, I didn't think it was going to go that way. But I did know that I could win. And the narrative is that if you don't have more money than your opponent, if you are, you're new to politics, people don't know who you are, you can't win. My experience was I had 1/10 of the money that my opponent had in the primary. I was the biggest money upset in the country until Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won, and now she and I are tied as the biggest money upsets in the country. And I had no ties to establishment politics, and I think that's actually a real positive. So in my experience, being a Democrat has not been problematic in this place that's been voting for Republicans in the last few cycles because people see me as me and not so much as part of a bigger entity, a party entity. So I tell people about my values. I really talk a lot about values and not as much. I'm happy to talk about policy, but I always want people to know first what I value, and I talk about freedom and how West Virginians aren't living as free as we used to, because you can't live free if you don't have health care, and you can't live free if your kids don't have good schools, and you can't live free if you can't get to that pretty little hollow that you live on because the roads are so bad. So we're actually getting farther from our freedom because our priorities are so focused on corporate interests and not on people. So I want to refocus on people so that the people of West Virginia can make choices that keep them here, keep them in West Virginia if this is where they want to be, keep their kids here if this is where they want to be, keep them healthy, and keep their communities healthy.
Is there anything else that you want to make sure we talk about?
Well, actually, there's one other thing. So the interesting thing that's sort of been happening post-primary for me, every news article about me before the primary said essentially the same thing. She's a good candidate. She's got a good message. No way she can win because she has a fraction of the money that her opponent has. And then on May 8th, I won by a fairly large margin, close to double digits. And within 36 or 48 hours of that win, the news articles came out and they said something slightly different, which was good candidate, good message, impressive win, but she can't win because she doesn't have enough money to beat her incumbent opponent. And I have to admit, even though I'm not naive, this is my first time running for office, but I know that the narrative is often focused on money and that's just sort of how it's going to go. I was surprised that I didn't convince more people by my win in the primary that I could win in the general. So what I've been doing is, talking about conventional wisdom and how we look to polls and we look to money to tell us what is going to happen in a race. And this cycle, I think all of that conventional wisdom is no longer. I think we have totally different measures that we need to be looking at to determine who might win. When we stick with the old measures, I think a lot of the pundits are way off base. And it's too bad because there are really good candidates out there who are not getting the support of sort of the powers that be, quote unquote, that can be really helpful and, help funding campaigns. So I'm kind of doing my own thing. I'm still doing the grassroots thing. I'm slogging away with the fundraising and just, I don't take corporate PAC money. My opponent takes massive corporate PAC money. But the point of this campaign is to talk to people and to talk about values, and you don't need a ton of money to do that. So I think our measures are off, and I surprised West Virginia when I won in May, and we're going to shock the hell out of the country in November.
I love it. Nothing would thrill me more.
Me too. No, it's been fun. I mean, I'll say it has been an incredible experience. It's been exhilarating and, motivating. And, when I'm tired at night, I think this is hard. And what have I signed my family up for? And I just sleep on it. And the next morning I feel really good again. So we got 57 days. It's going to be an amazing couple of months going into November 6th. And it's going to be a fun night on the 6th to watch what happens around the country. And
if our listeners would like to help you either with the grassroots part or they want to give you some money, how can they do that?
I would be very grateful for that. My website is www.teamkendrawv.com. So TeamKendra, WV, like West Virginia, and there's all sorts of information on there and a link to donate. I'm also on ActBlue, Kendra Fershee, just in the search engine. But my fundraising is mostly low dollar. It's from a lot of people in West Virginia, some people outside of West Virginia, and that's the way I like it, because I think we need people in the district giving money to candidates who they believe in, because that's a better indicator of who might win than just the amount of dollars.
All right, so we'll put links for that up on our website as well. So, Kendra,
Great.
Thank you so much for talking with us. I'm really excited, and I would love to see you be the first woman representing West Virginia's 1st congressional district.
Me too. Thank you. I appreciate you talking with me. This was fun.
Tonight, joining us is Sammi Brown. She is a Democrat running for the West Virginia House of Delegates from District 65. Welcome, Sammi.
Hey, guys. Wow. You know what? I'm so pumped that you have a West Virginia episode. How cool is that?
We're pretty excited about it, too. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of how you came to be running for the House of Delegates right now?
Sure. I would essentially be the most unlikely candidate to get into things. I'm a young interracial female. I come from a union household. Early in life, I knew poverty and low-income housing, and I literally moved from one side of the tracks to the other to be your quintessential working-class family. And how I got into politics, if you will, is I actually thought I was going to do what you guys are doing. I thought I was going to do radio production. And after I graduated, instead of getting full-blown into radio like I thought, after, going across the country to really start my career, I got a call back from the West Virginia AFL-CIO, and they were like, we'd really like you to consider organizing in the 2014 election cycle. So I came home from what I thought was going to be an interview, and my box was already packed, and I was sent on my way to be an organizer in that particular cycle. I went from having a localized slate for the region to the top of the ticket on down. So I had, at that time, it was Natalie Tennant in the Shelley Moore Capito race for U.S. Senate on down. And that is how I flipped, tripped, and fell into West Virginia politics. After that, I saw, coming back to my hometown, just things that really did not sit right with me. Some folks were doing incredibly well. Others were struggling. And I saw deep, deep poverty. I saw homes that, you could probably push over. I saw that, the public schools that I went to were not nearly getting the attention that they deserved. And I said, it's not right. And the apathy and the clear contempt that seemed to really permeate politics, on every level, I was just like, to hell with it. I got to get in there. So I put my name on the ballot, and here we are trying to make change. And I'm a bold progressive candidate, and I'm known as West Virginia's activist turned West Virginia candidate. So here we are.
And can you tell us a little bit about the district you're in, just for our listeners who might not know
Sure.
where it is in West Virginia?
Absolutely. So the 65th district is in the Eastern Panhandle. So it is the thumb, if you will, of West Virginia that is close to D.C., Maryland, Virginia. I am out in Jefferson County, and I'm actually running out of my hometown. So Charlestown is the city, if you want to call it that I grew up in. And the district would encompass Charlestown, Lansing, and bumps up against a town called Carneysville. So we've got this interesting dynamic of some very dense property. The closest thing we've got to, I'd say, urban-like scapes in West Virginia, and then also lots of farmland and a concentration on agritourism. So it has like this very interesting mix of folks. Also in the 65th, which, just to debunk some myths, we also have a dense population of minority families. So I have Black, Latino, and Asian families right here in the 65th district, which is really exciting for me to represent, because West Virginia is by and large known as, white middle class. And there's, I get this pocket of diversity that I'm